everybody, to another session of, I keep saying session, but it's an episode, whatever you want to call it, of Career Talks. As always, I'm your host. Definitely excited about tonight as we close out the year. The guests are just phenomenal. They're just awesome. And if you're not creating content, folks, and putting yourself out there, sharing your advice or expertise, this is the way to go to connect with some phenomenal people, to learn and expand your network. But I won't belabor the point. I have Miss Madeleine Mann. If you don't know who she is, let me just share a little bit about her. She is a creator of Self-Made Millennial. She is being published in several publications. You haven't seen her work, and I'll just share just a few. Um, won't brag, but we will brag a little bit. Forbes, Bloomberg, Harvard Business Review, Wall Street Journal, Newsweek. I can go on and on and on. Her LinkedIn following is over 100K. Her YouTube following is over 160K. Her IG following is over 16,000. She is making an impact with this career space, educating folks. And I'm super excited to have her on the Career Talks podcast. So let me welcome her to the live. Hello.
Hello, Orlando. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. In the flesh. How are you?
So good. So good.
Good. Super happy to have you on. I've been watching your content for a while now. I think I first came across you, might have been on YouTube. Then followed you on LinkedIn, etc. But always entertaining, always insightful, always great, solid content. And I love that you come from different perspectives as well. So refreshing, definitely refreshing. So without further ado, share with folks a little bit more about who Madeleine Mann is.
Absolutely. Well, it was such a wonderful intro. I'm Madeleine Mann. I am a human resources and recruiting leader who took all of the behind the scenes things I was seeing at tech companies of exactly what was landing people jobs, what was accelerating their careers. And I started to create content first on YouTube, and then that spread across TikTok and LinkedIn and Instagram and beyond. And because this content was getting people so many jobs, so many results, I built an entire business helping people land jobs. And it has been so amazing. The success stories are through the roof. And it's been an absolute joy to really bring people bleeding edge job search strategies, since the job market is always changing.
Wow. Yeah, because in looking at your content, before we dive into the topic, in looking at your content, it's not so much that it's specialized, it varies, but at the same time, like I said earlier, it's coming from a very different perspective, which makes you like, oh wow, like let me connect with this young lady, let me see what more she has and dive deeper into her content. So and you've been doing this for how long now?
4 years of making the content. Self-Made Millennial was born 4 years ago, and it's for a couple of years I didn't even monetize anything. I just was doing it purely passionate, and it just has absolutely taken off.
Wow. Congratulations and continued success. So I'm definitely going to follow the nuggets and trails that you're following. I signed up for your masterclass, missed the masterclass. So I'm going to sign up again though, to make sure I digest as much as possible from you.
Love it. Love it.
So, folks, as you're watching, those who are watching live, please say hello where you're watching from. Any questions you have, Madeleine is here to answer them. Let me say hello to Nikisha. She was a former guest as well. Hello. This is going to be a great. Absolutely, it is. Absolutely, it is. So I'm excited to get to it. So, how to ace, the job interviews, really more or less the difficult ones and things like that. Where did that topic spawn from? Is that from the multiple clients you're having now and what their struggles are? But why this topic? And I always ask my guests that, why this topic for the conversation?
Acing the interview is truly what will land you this job offer. And I've worked with people on both sides. I train companies how to interview, and I train in job seekers on how to land the job. And I'm telling you right now, Orlando, people are not good at interviewing. And that is one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about training job seekers, because it's not training people on how to answer the questions they are given the best. It is how to take an interview that maybe isn't conducted to bring out the best in you, and how to still give them the best information, how to make sure that the certain information that they need to know, even if they didn't directly ask about it, make sure that they hear that. And so that's why this is such an important conversation, because too often we're just focused on, hey, answer this question, but instead it should be really, how are we making sure that the right information is getting across to the interviewer, even if they aren't asking the right questions.
Love that. Love that. Love that. Let me say hi to a few more folks, and I have a comment on that. But so, Karen, another phenomenal HR professional who I had on the show. Thank you. Debrica, long-term colleague and fellow author. Thank you for joining. So when you said that, I had a thought just the other day too. It's great that folks are getting their resume done and their LinkedIn profile, but when it comes to the interview, the resume does not get you the job. The LinkedIn profile does not get you the job. It gets you through the door, but if you're not poised enough, professional enough, I look at it. We should not be having interrogations. They should be more conversations in types of interview styles. But share with us your theory on the importance of that, and how you're coaching folks now.
One of the most interesting things, Orlando, is when I was in these job interview debriefs, or not job, yeah, so these interview debriefs, these interview panel debriefs with these executives. One of the top things that they would say coming out of an interview is, I'd say, okay, what was your feedback? I want to get back to them as soon as possible. And they would say things like, this person asked the best questions. I absolutely loved it. And I'm like, okay, that's great. How about their answers? And what really stood out is that curiosity, exactly as you're saying, that conversational aspect of the company actually wants to feel like it's a two-way process. They want to feel like the candidate is vetting them as much as they're vetting the candidate. And so really introducing that, because it shows you're a high value candidate. And also the company wants to make sure that when they hire you, you know what's in store for you and you're excited about it, so that you're an easier employee to retain.
I love that. I love that. So, what are some basic steps? And I'll ask this before following that question. Or are you coaching mid-level folks, Jim, or the spectrum is wide? Senior level folks. What's your
Yes,
um,
mostly
client base?
mid to senior.
Okay.
Exactly.
Are you finding that they haven't interviewed in a while because they've been in a role for a while, so they're a little rusty and know how to navigate the waters now?
Being rusty is a huge thing. Also, the interview anxiety, the jitters, but
Hmm.
also one of the biggest issues I've seen is we say too much or we talk too broadly. So one of the issues of anyone who's ambitious and multi-passionate and multi-talented is that you have a whole array of things to tell this person, and often we want to kind of tell them our whole story or not leave out certain things that really help define who we are, but that can actually be distracting.
So when it comes to the top three, because yeah, we do tend to throw up on the interviewee or interviewer, and then share, like you said, vague points when it comes to your contribution to a certain project of execution. What are the top three that you're seeing are the struggles? Is there a common theme in questions that are stumping folks out there?
One of the first thing is people are answering the question at face value
Hmm.
versus understanding the intention of the question. The question isn't as important as what was your answer say about your character. So for example, when someone asks the question, what is your greatest weakness, it's they really are trying to understand, basically how, like, making sure that the role that you're going for is going to be one that hopefully doesn't, play too much to your weaknesses where you'll be miserable. Maybe they're looking for ways to learn how to coach you and all of that, but we're also looking for more of a growth mindset. And
Hmm.
so sometimes when we just kind of say straight out, people just name the weakness and they'll stop talking. What does that say about your character? Instead, you really want to dive deeper into how you came across that weakness and how you've been working on it. And that actually shows, this is actually a way to seem stronger in the interview, because now you're showing a growth mindset. You're showing self-awareness. Both of those things are highly valued to an employer. So really understanding when you're answering a question, think, okay, what does this say about my character versus, okay, what is the correct answer to this question?
Now that particular question is up for discussion on how to do it, because a lot of folks could say, my weakness is patience because I always want to get things done and execute, and I typically don't, I struggle with following certain timelines because I want to close the deal or whatever it may be. What would you suggest, or give us an example if you can, of a weak answer to the weak question and a stronger answer to that particular question, and then on the flip side, what's your strength?
Okay, great. So I would say a weak answer to the weakness question would be something like, Orlando, I would say I'm a perfectionist. I want to get everything right. And that can sometimes mean that things might take longer, but I'm just a perfectionist. Okay, so that is a bad answer. Why? Because first of all, it's the answer pretty much everyone says. It's become a cliche at this point, but also doesn't really show much more deeply about your personality. It's kind of, I mean, perfectionism has become another word for procrastination these days. And so you really want to find something that shows a bit more about your character. So a better answer would be, Orlando, I've realized one of my weaknesses has been sales. And I know in a human resources role, you might think that sales isn't important. But as I've gone through my career, I've noticed that getting buy-in from different executives, different teams with the different programs I'm rolling out is so important. And so I have been really trying to learn, how do I get people on my side? How do I convey the value of the projects I'm doing? So what I've been doing is I've read To Sell as Human by Daniel Pink. I've been reading that book. I've also been taking a class on it. And I've also been making sure that anytime I'm rolling out a project, I use it as a moment to get all the stakeholders on the same page. So I do think it's a work in progress, but it's a muscle I'm really learning to build more and more.
I hope people are jotting that down, because that was a good answer. And I've been doing this for for 20 years. So very good answer. You show personal development and growth in that answer too. So I love that. Now, if as the interviewer and I said the word weakness, would you respond in that word or say area of improvement? Just a little side note.
That's interesting. I love that positive spin of area
Hmm.
of improvement,
Yeah.
right? So I think that's a cool tip. I like that.
Cool. You know what? Questions are coming in, and I don't want to keep those folks waiting. Typically, I'll wait a little longer, but these are some good questions coming in. So I want to utilize every knowledge you have. So from Nikisha, it says, what red flags would you suggest candidates be on the lookout for during an interview, and how can they overcome them?
Yes. Nikisha, I would say one of my favorite things to recommend is to ask several interviewers as you're going through the process, is to ask them to describe the role that you will be taking. And what's interesting here is a job description is a living, breathing organism. It's written and then it's rewritten, and then they interview more people and they realize they need something else. And so one of the things that can kind of send up green flags or red flags is when you get into the interview and you say, I had a chance to read the job description, but what would be really great is to hear about the job from your perspective and also how you see this job working with you. And if it's all different, people are saying different things, this could be a kind of a disastrous role where you're actually going to get into it and you are not going to know exactly where you need to be and what success means in that role. Now, if everyone says the same thing, it's the consistent answers and they're really repeating similar things about the business, that is showing a lot of cohesion, a lot of great communication, and you're likely walking into a company that you will have more direction and you can feel a lot more confident in taking that role.
Awesome. Karen says, great response earlier to your answer around the weakness. Absolutely. So jot that down. Juanita, thank you for joining. She's another rock star in the call center space here. Definitely, she's on a whirlwind. So appreciate you tuning in. Nikisha has another question. So keep them coming, folks, because we got we got Madeleine here for 45 minutes to an hour, and I want to utilize again every knowledge she has to share. So, how would you advise a candidate to answer a question around a particular competency or task that they have not experienced in their career history? Very good question. Very good
Yes.
question.
So one of the things is that a job description is a wish list. If you do not need to have every single thing on a job description. Also, if you are in an interview, you are qualified. So you made it. You had the minimum qualifications to get into that interview. So own it. You belong there. So let's say that they do ask you something about a competency you don't necessarily have. You might, there's a couple ways you can go about it. One of the ways is they say, Madeleine, have you worked with Adobe Premiere Pro, the video editing platform? And yes, I have, but let's say I haven't. Maybe I would say, so Adobe Premiere Pro is something I'm really, I have all my LinkedIn learning links ready to go. I'm looking to learn it, but I've actually done all of my editing on X other platform, and I've been doing that for years. And what I found is, blah, blah, like you can talk about related skills and really have confidence in that, right? And talk about how interested you are in learning that other skill. Really own it as would be a great growth opportunity for you. I think another way to approach it is to, like, let's say that they say Adobe Premiere Pro, and I don't know what that is. And I say, oh, okay, when you say Adobe Premiere Pro, I'm actually not familiar. Oh, that's a video editing thing. Oh, great. At the company I work at, we use Y video editing platform. Like, why did you choose that one? And, would you be open to switching, or would you want me to learn that? And then it's more of a discussion. It's not, okay, I need to answer this question. It's more of a fact-finding mission to understand if there's compatibility and whatnot. Because often they're just asking the question sometimes just to check it off of see if you have it. And you can have it a bit more nuanced of a conversation if you enter into a question like that with a bit of curiosity.
Love that. Do you see there any? Are we still seeing setup questions from the interviewer to kind of stump the interviewee, and uncovering some weaknesses? Because I know some folks can be very conversational, very pleasant in the interview process, like just their natural self, and it tones down the guard of the interviewee, and then they slip. And right,
Mm.
are you seeing that still pretty relevant out there in the market, where some of your clients are like, "Wow, they threw this monkey wrench question. I had no clue how to answer that."
Right. It is this that approach is something I really teach against when I'm teaching interviewers of,
Good.
ooh, I call them gotcha questions, where it's like, haha,
Hmm.
I gotcha. Like, imagine, the company, this happened in the company, and then this happened. It's like these things that just would be completely just out of the realm of possibility. Or it's maybe even a brain teaser of how many ping pong balls will fit into a tiny home, whatever it is. And it
Which is
really is.
spirit animal, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. And so this is what I'm talking about, how interviewers don't really understand their process is they'll come up with some hokey reason as to how your spirit animal really plays into your ability to be a great employee and what that says about you. But truly, there's no correlation between spirit animals and if person is able to build out a marketing funnel, right? So I think that it's such a goofy thing that people rationalize why they ask those questions, and unfortunately, it's still running rampant.
That's crazy. So I love what you said, because you said you coach not only the job seeker but the employer. So let's switch, because I want both, because all the viewers and the questions that came in, these folks are in position, executive HR people and career coaches that do interviewing, so it can make that decision. What are some tips you're giving the employer on how to? You just started to allude to it. how to interview properly so you're getting the most out of that candidate and you're not, again, throwing those gotcha questions out there?
It really is about getting clear on the role before you interview. And I know that maybe sounds super simple, but it's amazing how a hiring manager will say, I really need this role. Okay, I'm going to put all my best people to interview this person. I trust them. They're a really great judge of character and they understand what this role is about. So then they throw everyone into different interviews. And you know what happens? Every single interviewer asks the same thing and they get a very one-dimensional perspective about this potential new employee. And so what I say is let's get extremely clear about what this person will be doing, what they will be achieving in their first 90 days, in their first year, and what are those key skills that are both required and which are the nice to have. You'll be surprised at how, if you actually go person by person in a hiring panel, they will have different opinions on what's required versus what isn't. So you have to be extremely explicit about that, and then give each person assigned to focus on a certain thing, and they are not to deviate to a different topic. I've had interviewers where they will get hung up on, well, this person's a job hopper, they keep leaving their roles. And I say, well, was that something that you were asked to evaluate them on? Is their allegiance to a company? No, I asked you to evaluate them on their React Native skills. Okay, so let's focus on that. So you need to get extremely clear, and then they need to know what a bad, an okay, and a good answer looks like to every one of their questions. In Orlando, very few interviewers can be confident and tell me exactly what those three look like. And if you can say that, then you will likely have a solid interview where you're measuring people against the same questions, against the same ratings. And then when you come back as a panel, everyone has a different view of that person because they're all evaluating something slightly different. And you can make a more holistic decision on this person versus 6 people asking, tell me about yourself.
1000% agree. And I worked for an organization who did that, right? So every person had a particular area, and like they said, you can only evaluate based on what we're giving you. Don't cross the line, don't color outside the line, stay in your lane, and then collectively we'll come back and decipher from there. And if they've done well in all areas, we move forward with an offer. So that is so crucial. That is so crucial that we're assigning the employer areas of I'll use companies for lack of a better word,
yes,
to focus on in the interview. So like you said, I loved it. Like, well, did you you assigned to worry about their job hopping? I love that.
true story.
Like, oh boy, that's good. Okay, so questions are coming in. So I hope you're ready. So Tegan, hello, thanks for joining. I had Tegan, all the folks I had on the show, so appreciate you tuning in. Another question from Bob. Bob says, many of my clients fear panel interviews. How do you put candidates' fears to rest? Great question, Bob. Appreciate you joining.
Hey, Bob. Yes, so they're intimidating. And you get into the panel interview, everyone's faces, if we're talking about video, their faces are usually very straight and they're just kind of staring at you. And some of them look incredibly bored. And so it's very intimidating. I would say with this, I love to really not like, if they're giving you really low energy, don't receive it. So you want to keep your energy high enough. Like I would keep my energy about this level here. And I would always have done my research. So I would have a list of those people who are in the panel, and you have your notebook and you have their names written down here. So you can quickly glance down and say, Bob, I know you've been at the company for 2 years. Probably when I get into this role, I would like to speak with people like you who have more tenured knowledge to understand how the recruiting process is currently working. If I was being interviewed. So it's amazing how they pop up awake when you say their name, or just even while you're talking and you say, Orlando, I wanted to also acknowledge, your role or whatever, right? So really engaging with them and kind of kill them with kindness in that way, bring that energy, and make sure that you try to say each person on the panel's name at least once.
Agree again, 100%, 100%. One of the things I like to do, just to add, is if you're able to, if people are still sharing business cards these days, is to set those in the order in which these people are sitting right in front of you. So you said, like you said, just look down and point because they got to know, like it's you to remember three, four people's names right off the back. Your nerves, your jitters, they just have to focus on one. It's unfair. So that's your cheat sheet. So I love that. Another question coming in. Boy, we may go over an hour. I hope not. I don't want because Madeline is busy. So here's another question. Final question from Nikisha. She says, "What suggestions would you provide to an organization slash hiring manager to ensure that they can create an exclusive and welcoming environment during the interview process?" Good question again.
Yes. So I would say it's super important to run your process the same way for everyone. So I really do think that structure and process really leads to the most inclusion because it kind of leaves less room for error of human error, right? I've seen way too many hiring processes where the hiring manager gets in their head that they have one favorite candidate. And so that hiring manager then goes around and tells each employee about that person and what they like about them and then speeds along the process for them, and they get kind of caught up in that being their favorite person. Meanwhile, they are interviewing other people and they're going through the process. The rest of the team didn't hear a custom bio about that person from the hiring manager. They're not getting zoomed along as quickly. And so as if we kind of notice those patterns and cut them out of saying no, we don't we don't have them skip the second round interview, like we have everyone go through the same thing. We don't if we're going to provide background on someone to every single person on the panel, we need to do that every time. And then overall, if we're making it just more of a welcoming process, I think it's really all about making sure that they feel like they're getting a lot of their questions answered. So providing lots of information about the company, the role, the compensation, being responsive. Job seekers' standards for what they expect from a company are not out of this world. Like they're actually
Right.
extremely reasonable. They're like, hey, if I email you, like, could you email me back? Like it's just like they're not demanding. They're just very reasonable, and they're just,
Exactly.
hey, and if you're not ready yet to have my next interview, that's cool. Just let me know. So I think job seekers are extremely reasonable.
If I talk, will you talk back? Is that
Yeah.
okay? Right? I love that. Yeah, it's and to add to that briefly, Nikisha, it was just to what Madeline was saying earlier. If you set a basically if you set a cadence on how you do one, you do all. So it's there's consistency with the education of the candidate's background, etc. But one thing that I always love to share is that managers or hiring people that who do the interviews, sometimes they're nervous. They're not as skilled in doing the interviews as well, but they just need to be people. Just be yourself. Don't put on this persona in that it makes it awkward. Just share who you are, what you've done with the company. Make it a true conversation where people are at ease. That's because you're hiring for culture ad, not just a cultural fit, but a culture
Yes.
ad too. So, next question is coming in from, and I'm gonna butcher this name, Nancy Mann. What are some questions to ask the interviewer after the interview?
I would say for this, if you're advanced, you are taking more of a consultative approach where during the interview process, you are treating it almost as if you're already hired and you are really learning about the business. You're understanding the strategy and you're seeing how this role will fit into the strategy. And then you're asking questions about that of, okay, so you said that this aspect of the business needs to have more attention. Like, what have you tried so far? How will this role be working on it? You're basically really diving in to where it's almost like you're treating this as the first day on the job, you understanding the role and starting to even problem solve in certain ways of, okay, if I was given this problem, how would I start to solve it? So that is the advanced way. If you're just looking for what are a couple of questions I can have in my back pocket, I would focus on three areas: the company, so asking key questions about the product, the industry, some of the dynamics they're seeing there. The team. So the team dynamics, who's on the team, the different goals that the team has, and then the individual who's interviewing you. So asking them about what is their job, how they liked the company, how's the company changed for them over the past 3 years that they've been there, those types of questions.
And I love that response. And I wonder if any one of the people that are watching noticed your particular cadence, or should I say, continence, and how you speak. And I wonder if that's how you are in interviews, because you lean in, right? Your facial expressive change when you're like, you're asking more of a technical question, and I love that, to see someone really engaged in the interview. And I think that you get more immersed. And me personally, I think you get a better response and buy-in and from the interviewers when they see like excitement from your body language and like, yeah. So what about that? And your tone changes, and you're like, wow, time flies, and you've at that point you're crushing the interview, in my opinion. So I'm watching your movement at the same time, and I'm like, that's probably how she interviews in real life, because that's
Yeah.
just her. That's just her.
And
So those,
also, like,
yeah,
yeah, over video too, video adds 10 pounds
yep,
and subtracts 10 cups of coffee. So you need to like amp up your energy slightly more than you would be if you were just, sitting around in real life. So it's amazing how, yes, you can appear, if you're just being normal, you might appear bored.
I love that. And that's funny because it's a struggle for me, because I have a very monotone voice, and I hear myself yelling, but when I hear the recordings, it's like,
Right?
I'm like, God, I'm like, what level do I need to get to? That's funny. Another, I think this is a comment or question from Andrea Capel. Hey, thanks for tuning in. She's saying great interview to both of us. As you said, job descriptions is like a Christmas wish list. So how can the job candidate figure out what is the must have versus nice to have? Figure out whether the job is a fit for them. And I'm assuming you're saying just from viewing the job description.
Yes. Okay. If we're just talking about just the job description, you always want to read the top paragraph or two of a job description and notice what the company brought up first. So typically in that summary paragraph, they'll hit on the high notes of what that role is. And then you'll get into the description. And as you go down in the bullets, you'll see them naming all these other things of like, wow, do they want a person who can do everything in the world under the sun of digital marketing, basically, an A to Z digital marketer? But if you notice, like at the very top of it, they were mostly focused on content marketing, right? So then you realize, okay, so that's probably the most important thing, and maybe like paid ads maybe is not as important. So it's not a perfect science, but noticing the paragraph and also the top like 2 or 3 bullets can give you a really good clue of this is their top focus for this role. And if I don't quite have the other ones, I am going to still be confident because I do have those main ideas.
Love it. Love it. Another question from Karen Turner. She's an executive HR professional, podcaster as well, sharp young lady. With the current employee market, are you seeing any new trends in interviewing process? Are you advising your job seekers any differently? Hmm, good question.
I have seen it, some companies are trying to make their processes not as long, because
Right.
if you keep your processes long, those candidates who are in demand, time is money and time kills all deals. So they will go to another role. So I've seen a lot faster of turnarounds. And what I advise my clients is, if you get a job offer or if you're in final round interviews, don't keep that a secret. Some people
Right.
think, oh, if I tell them and I'm getting another offer, like they're going to be worried I don't want their company. Companies want people who are in demand, right?
Yep.
That doesn't reflect poorly at all on you. It means that they like you, someone else likes you. And when you see kids on a playground and they watch a kid run after a toy, you know what, all the other kids, they suddenly, oh, I want that toy too. So it can only help you. So, and it also creates urgency for that company. I mean, this, if a company likes a candidate and the hiring manager is dragging their feet, typically because it has nothing to do with the candidate, but the hiring manager is busy doing their day job. And that candidate comes forward and says, hey, I really like this role, but I got another offer. Could we expedite this process? Often, if the company likes the candidate, they are more than happy to try to, mix up their timeline if at all possible. And the hiring manager, it's a nice kick in the butt because they have 10 things on their to-do list, and the ninth one is to revisit that interview. And now you just bumped it up to the top because they don't want to lose you. So I would say use the art of the follow-up. And I also, if you're worried about following up or don't know exactly what to say, because that is extremely common, I put free follow-up email templates on the front page of my website for anyone to grab on madeleinemann.com. So you can grab those there.
Yep, I downloaded them. I got my copy. So yeah, absolutely. So it's I almost lost my point. So when it comes to, I think we have another question. We'll get to that if it pops up. When it comes to the don'ts, right? The don'ts of the interview process. And to Karen's point, I'm kind of toggling back and forth here, but right now it's the interview process is similar to the housing market, right? You have to move quick. Candidate can have multiple offers.
Yes.
So decision to make an offer to that candidate needs to be swift. Well, I'm experiencing it day to day now, so that's one thing. But yeah, so the don'ts of the interview process for the candidate. What are some things and people may not know, right? Because they've been in their role so long. Mid-level, C-level folks struggle. They come sometimes with their laurels and thinking, "Hey, I've been this, I've been that. I shouldn't have to share this." But or hey, what are you offering? Should candidates nowadays be asking right off the back, what's the comp plan before we even get into a discussion and open the doors? What is this position offering?
So Orlando, I know this is heavily, contested. I, I've been on the employer side of thousands of negotiations at this point. And what I've seen is you actually have more negotiation power later in the process. And so if you're able to show your value first and then discuss compensation, they will be much more likely to think, oh, we really liked Orlando. Can we go 15K higher? Oh man, he's just head and shoulders above these other people, and we're towards the end of the process. I would pay an extra 15K just to end this interview process right now. And so I've just really seen, if you're able to have that conversation later, that's not always possible, but if you're able to, it really conveys your value. If you're out of the gate before they really understand what you bring to the table, or asking for a higher salary and demanding it and all that, they might say, let's just find someone who's in our budget. This is just not going to work. When really it's not about finding the most affordable candidate. It's about finding the candidate that is going to be a 10x multiplier, no matter what their comp is.
You just hit the nail right on the head. It's hiring for the future of the company, not necessarily for the fit now. Love that. Karen says, thank you for the advice. You shared something earlier, and I hate the fact that it slipped my mind, but you said around, um, you know what? Here's a better question for you. The flip of that question, what candidates should not do in the interview process. So as a recruiter, as a team manager now, where I'm asking these questions, I'm seeing more where we're getting to the salary negotiations early on, just to make sure we're closing that gap very, very
Yes.
quickly. And again, it varies per company. Some companies are hard nosed. I happen to be blessed to work for a company where they don't want budget to be a hindrance. They want to kind of know quick, and then they have variance. They have some room to wiggles on that. So, are you seeing some of that come into play now as well, where recruiters or hiring managers getting right to that, just so they're saving the candidate time as well as themselves?
Absolutely. I see all the time recruiters first call, like
Mm-hmm.
getting to the compensation conversation, getting a number down, seeing if there is a fit there. Definitely. So it's like, oh, don't bring it up in the first call, but probably someone will bring it up. So I think being prepared for either scenario is really important.
And I think that's a key point. I'm noticing candidates are not prepared. It's still stumping them now that they mumble. They're like, pause, and versus this is what I'm looking for, 150. right?
Mm-hmm.
Based on the market, what's going on, 150. So on that same note of salaries, just to bring that up, what are you seeing as candidates spike? What is that jump? Are you seeing 20, 30% asking increase based on the market, demand, supply? What are your clients sharing with you on that front?
It's interesting because my clients have me, so we're asking for a lot. So they typically would say, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna ask for this much," and I'm like, "Let's inflate that
So
a little bit."
give me a real life example without sharing any names, and
Sure, sure.
if you can.
So yeah, so a real life example, like they were offered, I don't know, let's say like $130,000. And we did some salary research and whatnot. And we also, it's not even just about salary research, but it's also about talking. If you've talked to other companies and they have said, yeah, like our range is 150 to 170, right? That's already, that's kind of showing that you're now in consideration for a role that is kind of higher than what you're interviewing for. So yeah, really working with them to arm them with a range that they're saying. I typically always give my clients a range of what to say, and then but really detach it from emotion. And this is a really important thing, is when I have been the person on the employer side, the way most people approach negotiations, and I'm interested to hear your experience, is, so Madeleine, like I just really don't want to I really want to make more at my next job. And I just moved into a condo near the beach and I really need to be able to pay for that. And it's all these reasons about their life and their feelings. That is not what your compensation should be based off of. So instead of making it about data and about like the other employers you've been talking to, and then if you're removing the emotion and they end up saying a number that's significantly lower than what you said, you're not, then if you go along with that number, it's not an attack on what you believe and your values and what you feel like you deserve. It's like, oh, okay, like I had this other range, but now that I know your number, okay, I can see, we can work within that, and let's just make sure the whole package makes sense. And so it just really kind of removes the emotion from it, and you can have a lot more of a direct conversation.
Absolutely. And I started laughing when you said that too, because it's so funny how people will price themselves based on their lifestyle. And I'm like, the company has nothing to do with that. You bought that
You
that
bought the
luxury condo.
condo.
You
I'm not
bought the condo.
responsible for your condo.
No, that's not part of the package, right? So, but to add to that, but that part is funny because I've seen it so many times. What I suggest is for any job seekers that are listening to this now, or the replay, is that when you give a range, understand that the employer, and I'm speaking from an employer side, will always go with the lower range first, no matter what. That is the budget. There is a budget. Of course, if you're giving me lower, I'm going to save my company money and come in at that. Knowing you don't want that, don't give me that. If you're 150 to 160, hard nose 160. This is where I need to be, where everything else is clicking, the culture and the environment, the management, the work. It's exciting, commute time, whatever it may be, hybrid schedule. I'm gonna walk through the door as quick as possible because you're meeting my number. Let's not, job seekers, stop giving a range, knowing that when we come in at the lower range, we're talking counter offers and back and forth. Stop doing that. Absolutely stop. Give us your hard number where you want to come in, and right, we're not asking. I don't know how many people are asking nowadays, where are you currently at right now. I'm for the past several years, it's been, what do you need to walk through the door?
Yep.
Just give me that number. Like, I know where you typically would be at, so you can't say if you're 120, let me give me 180. Really? Based on your working experience, you're not at 180. So we know, just stick with the high. Give us your hard number, and we can walk through the door as quick as possible. But I love that when people try to base it off lifestyle. That cracks me up all the time. All the
So
time. So,
common.
it is. It is. So when it comes to, I'm asking this question with salary ranges too, and even though the topic is how to ace the interview process, but I see this holistically as this is a part of the process, the research, right? Knowing the market, knowing the employer, going in prepared. because this is all part of the process with interviewing. So when it comes to the salary, should should employers be more flexible too? I mean, in this current market, where it's definitely prices are getting marked up. And again, like I said earlier, we're not really asking, where are you currently at and how do you justify a 25K increase, so forth and so on. But should companies be more flexible to find the talent and not too much worried about the budget because they know this person can come in and 10x um, add to the company.
So
That makes
here's the
sense.
thing. I think, I see all these memes about, how can employers, make life work better or more fun, and they're always like, pay me more, give me a raise. And I don't actually think that's what motivates people on the biggest whole. I think what people are really looking for right now is, yes, pay me my worth. But I don't know necessarily that you need to be top of the market, paying people
Hmm.
the highest in order to get them on board. They want meaningful work. They want control over their hours, over kind of over the work that they do. Maybe the goal is set for them, but they can choose how to reach that goal. They want uh, they want to believe in something. They feel like they're contributing to something larger themselves, and they want to work with great people. And so I think really focusing on your efforts on really coming to the interview process with this that you're courting someone, that you're really showing
Hmm.
them, you're showing them also that you're inclusive and that you care about, different populations and all of that. But really, and not just say it, but show it in different ways. Really make sure that you're really illustrating that, and you'll be amazed at how many people will go for a lower salary if you are giving them those things that actually are truly meaningful to them.
Love that. Love that. So you mentioned something earlier, so I want to touch on that as we get closer to closing out here. Is the follow up? Share your common practice on effective follow ups
Mm.
with recruiters or hiring managers.
Absolutely. Follow-ups are not desperate, Orlando. I
Mm.
mean, can you agree with me here that
Yep.
if someone follows up, it's not a sign of, "Oh my gosh, please give me this role," unless you say it that way, but it's more of a sign of, "Oh, I'm going to keep my eye on this person. This person really cares about this role." It's not like they've just been blasting out the resume to everyone and their brother. No, they are really interested in this, and they have this proactive nature, which is going to be great once they land the job. People want people who are ambitious, proactive. So just really making sure you follow up. One of the key things I teach with the follow up is get rid of this guilt or this awkwardness. I don't know if you've ever gotten these emails. I get them from salespeople sometimes where they go, "Oh, Madeline, I'm sorry. Like, I must have gotten lost in your inbox," or like, "Hey, I've sent you 3 emails. Did you get any of them?" You don't need to
Yeah.
make me feel bad about, my inbox with 42,000 unread emails. Instead, you say, like, if I was following up with you, Orlando, let's say, and you know how difficult it is to get in contact with me, so it's like, "Hey, Orlando, like, hope you had a great weekend. Just checking in about the role that I interviewed with. Have a good one." You don't respond to me. "Hey, Orlando, just want to update you on my interview process. I'm in process with a few different other companies. Nothing too serious yet, but I want to say that, your company is really the one I'm most interested in. I look forward to next steps." Notice I'm not like weird that you didn't respond to me or whatnot. So really, I think just keeping that positivity, keep building that relationship. Sometimes if you have more to add to the email that can not necessarily further sell yourself, but further build the relationship, that can be
Hmm.
really amazing.
That's crucial, and I love that because you shared in your example the second follow up was more of a hey touch base, like just to let you know, I know you guys are probably interviewing, but I'm interviewing too, and this is where I'm at. But I want to keep you informed because I want to be completely transparent with you because you're my number one. It's definitely like a dating courtship situation. So I love that, love that. So I want to be mindful of your time because I know you're busy. Sunny California, love it. Share with us where we can find you because I know you shared your website, but share everything else. Any events you coming up that you're doing, master classes. The floor is yours to promote and share where folks can connect with you.
Absolutely. Follow me on LinkedIn, madeleinemann.com. Hit that, Madeleine Mann. Hit that bell icon so you can see when my posts come up. My website is madeleinemann.com. I have a lot of like free email templates. Tell me about yourself, like full worksheet, all that stuff for free on the front page of the website. And follow Self Made Millennial on YouTube and TikTok. I do have a 5-day free masterclass coming up in January, Orlando, that I do want to invite everyone to.
Awesome.
Upgrade your career. It is blowout. Like every time I do it, people like have massive transformation. So I'm really excited about that. So yeah, I think I haven't really opened the doors to registration for that yet because it's happening in late January. But if you download any of like the free email templates or anything on my website, you'll be on my email list, and I'll let you know about it.
Love it, love it, love it. And I didn't share this in the beginning, but I want to share this in full transparency. When I originally reached out to Madeline, she said yes, took a little bit, and I stood her up for our intro call on two separate occasions. She was so gracious to still say, you know what? Yep, let's meet. Let's try again. Let's try again. So I humbly thank you for that, for your
Oh my gosh, yeah.
professionalism. That's cool. Most folks will not just be like, hey, this person can't even show up for a quick meeting. What is he gonna do come the actual recording day? Heck no. So yeah, that was huge. Two separate occasions, folks. So I admit that. But she's been super kind and continues to be a trailblazer and thought leader in the career development space. So follow her content. When's the book coming?
Ooh, yeah, that is. Well, if anyone knows a good publisher or wants to put me in contact with a publisher, I'm definitely down. Or an agent. I've not done a book yet, but right? It's probably about time, I
Yeah,
would say.
heck yeah. Do you know Lindsay Pollock?
No.
Okay, she's also a thought leader in this space, so I'll connect you to. She's written a couple of New York bestsellers. She's written a book called Recalculating. I'm not sure you're familiar with that. So I'll
Cool.
put you two together. She has a publisher, but yeah, definitely someone you should connect with. Super sweet woman as well in New York. So thank you again, Madeline, for your time, your expertise, your grace, and just sharing all the wealth of knowledge with you. I appreciate you so much. I'm going to close this out with a quick 10-second video, but if you can hold 1 second so I can just shower you with thanks again, I appreciate that.